Well, following our interview with Clare Barber here on MTTV about people who've been left overseas, they can't get back to the Isle of Man, we had a tremendous response. People who, just like what we're hearing from Clare, that they feel that they've been almost abandoned. Well, one of those people who got in touch with me and on the phone just a few hours ago was Annette, who's now joining us from Victoria. Annette, to say the least, when you gave me a call, you were fuming mad. I mean, you really do feel you've been let down here.
I absolutely do. I feel completely abandoned. I have sent umpteen emails to the FCO, to the Manx Government, to the Cabinet Office, to Chief Minister Quayle, to the health guy David Ashford, and as you know, Clare Barber. I've also been in contact with the Irish Government. I've been in contact with everybody I can possibly think of to get home, Paul. And the problem is, I arrived here on I left the island on the 8th of March. And I arrived here, Australia, on the 10th of March. I've come to see my grandchildren who moved out with their mum and dad in August, and I was desperate to see them. Now, had I have been told that there was going to be any great danger or I'd get stuck here, of course I would have cancelled. I wouldn't have come. But when I left the island on the 8th, there was nothing like this. It was nowhere near as rampant and severe as it became. So I didn't give it a second thought. I was coming out for a few weeks to spend time with my grandchildren. I got here, and within a couple of days, I started to see on the TV rumours and different things going on about the coronavirus spreading and things like that and flights, and I started to make inquiries as to whether I could get home earlier, and I couldn't. I'm a pensioner. I couldn't afford to go and cancel flights left, right and centre. It was going to cost me a lot more money. So I stayed, and I kept getting in touch with people. I've got sort of good lot of friends in the Isle of Man who have been keeping me in contact with the information from the island. We then heard that the island was going to close its borders. I just want to point out, I absolutely agree with everything Chief Minister Quayle has done. Absolutely everything. He was absolutely right to do the lockdown and to close the borders. I want to make that very clear. That is not my problem. But when I heard that, I had tried to get a flight home, but unfortunately I couldn't get back in time. So rather than be stranded in the UK, because my family don't live in the UK anymore, they live here, I don't know a living soul in the UK. So my predicament was, if I was to get a flight back home, and I was willing to, in the end up, I was willing to pay for one myself. I was going to borrow the money to get myself back home. I was only going to get as far as the UK. My problem has been, as Clare knows, what do I do when I get to the UK? I'm a pensioner. On her own, I would be homeless, I'd be on the streets, and I wouldn't be self-isolating anywhere. I could even get arrested. So that has stopped me from returning to my home in the Isle of Man. I live in Williston. I desperately want to get home. I have got a sister who has been diagnosed with leukemia whilst I've been here. I need to get home. And I've done everything I know to try and do that. I'm all over Facebook. I've put loads of comments on. This is not a blame game. I'm blaming nobody. This is to do with the virus that nobody expected. However, when Chief Minister Quayle decided to go along with this plan to close down the island, which I agree to completely, he should have had a little bit more forethought and forward planning as to what he was going to do with us who were genuinely stranded.
Well, Bill Shimmon's come up with this idea that Bill Shimmon's come up with this idea, that, of course, that people should be able to come back, but they have to go into an isolation, like a hotel or whatever. That's what's happening in Australia, isn't it? People are being very much can get repatriated, but they are put into these places.
Scott Morrison. He has allocated 2 hotels for his people to return and be brought straight from the airport to the hotels to self-isolate. Incidentally, a week and a half ago, I have suggested this in my emails before anybody else suggested it. I said, why can we not either have the UK government or the Manx government allocate a building to bring us home to, either in the UK to collect us from the airport and bring us straight there to self-isolate for I couldn't care how long, or if not the UK, why couldn't they bring us to the Isle of Man, to one of the buildings, and we could and they would again collect us from the airport, bring us there and to self-isolate. I think you'll find that most of us are not out to try and get free flights home. We want to know what we're supposed to do when we get to the UK. We don't want to be on the streets, and that is my plight. And to me, common sense, I mean, it's not rocket science. In these plans, something like this should have been in place. If I can think of something like this, I'm sure everybody else can. All I had to do was to open a facility, take us off the flight and put us into that facility, and then we'd have been there for however long we needed to be, Paul.
Right, now they're reviewing this in 3 weeks' time as such. We're almost a week into it now, so there will be this opportunity that maybe the Chief and Cohen can look at sorting this problem out. But do you think you can still find a flight in 3 weeks' time, for instance, to get out of Australia? Because I know basically everything's shutting down. How's it looking to get out of Australia even?
Very, very bad. This is the problem. Dominic Raab has, as you will know, he has organised with a few airlines to take people home. Now, those who can still get commercial airlines, which you can in Australia, you're absolutely paying through the roof to get them. But when you're desperate, you have to do what you have to do. However, the information I'm getting from my travel agent, which is Dynaflight, and other agents, and Etihad, which is the airline I flew with, I've been in contact with them, is that flights are getting cancelled left, right and centre. And Etihad have already cancelled my flight for next week. They've already cancelled that. And they said I might not get back home till June. There might not be any other flights till June. Paul, I can't stay out here till June. This is my daughter and son-in-law's family home, and my 2 granddaughters. And they're doing the best they can to accommodate me. I can't stay here. I need to get home.
And you've tried these numbers and emails, I think, on the Isle of Man. There is a sort of place you meant to go to get some help and some information. No luck with that?
You don't get me. I have had no help or information. The only help and information I have got is from Clare Barber, and that was when yesterday in desperation I went on and I said, people are telling me that if you contact the Cabinet Office, they're supporting you. I actually contacted Minister David Ashford, who's been extremely helpful, and I know he's pushing to help us as well. And I contacted him by email, umpteen emails, and he said, no, the Cabinet Office are not supporting people who are stranded at the moment. Okay. There is no support. People are going on saying there's support. The islanders are thinking we've got support. And incidentally, I can quite understand the islanders being annoyed at people who have managed to get themselves stranded. But I really am sick and tired of all the negative comments. The thing is, none of us would have come out knowing what was going to happen. We would not purposely put ourselves through this. And as I say, I'm not looking for anyone to pay my flight back. I'll borrow that money. I want somewhere to go, either in the UK or the Isle of Man, so that I can isolate and then go back to my home and isolate again for as long as I have to, so I can get on with my life. I can't afford to stay out here any longer. I just can't.